What's up, guys? What's up? Tying it all together. Now let's apply all of this to learning. As you move through this motivation section of the book, I want you to consider where learning fits into your passion, identity, values, and reasons. It was not until I was an adult that I found my passion. And purpose through my struggle to learn. I developed a love of learning because it helped me become unlimited, and my purpose is teaching other people to learn so they can unlimit themselves. As a kid, I forced myself to study, trying to rise to the level of average. I had a lot of identity issues to resolve. I was the boy with the broken brain, and I believed that I was stupid. I had to change the way I saw myself and give up the identity that kept me locked into being unable to learn. Instead of saying I am broken, I had to say I am a learner. As for values, as I mentioned earlier, I value growth and adventure. For me, learning falls under both of these because it contributes directly to my growth and it gives me a sense of adventure, especially when I learn something novel and challenging. There's no ambiguity here. Learning directly contributes to the fulfillment of my values. Every single one of my reasons keeps me motivated so that I can help more people learn. As my author knows, writing a book is a challenge, but my passion for writing this book to teach my methods to a wider audience around the world that may not have access to my online courses has kept me going. If you're trying to force motivation but you haven't addressed these individual limiting identities, you won't get very far. When you feel stuck, come back to the way your goal fits into your values and then ask yourself what needs to be brought back into alignment. Going back to the previous chapter's list of 7 lies that hold you back, perhaps the 8th lie is that you have motivation, that you wake up and feel motivated every day. The reality is that you do motivation. Ultimately, motivation is a set of habits and routines guided by your values and your identity that you carry out every day. Before we move on, finding your passion is about giving yourself novelty and putting yourself in a new environment to see what lights you up. It's difficult to do that if you feel limited or if you're self-conscious about looking bad, so let that go and enjoy the experience. Those initial moments of discomfort just might lead you to an entirely new passion and purpose in life. Here are a few things to try before moving on to the next chapter. Write down a list of your most common I am statements. How do you feel about the ways in which these statements define you? Create a list of the things you value the most. Now prioritize that list and think about how this aligns with your definition of yourself. Get into the habit of asking the questions why before you do anything. You see, when you give your body the best possible fuel, you have more energy. You're stronger. You think you more quickly. Michelle Obama. 8. Energy. How do you make sure your brain is as healthy, as energized as it can be? What should I make sure to have in my diet if I want my brain to be at its strongest? How do I constantly get a good night's sleep? Do you have a clear purpose for doing something, and you've broken down the project or goal into small, simple steps? Does that guarantee sustainable, limitless motivation? For example, even if you have a reason to read daily and have planned to read for just 5 minutes a day, what can keep you from doing so is fatigue. Mental and physical vitality is the fuel needed to drive your actions. We know the importance of time management. Well, motivation is all about energy management and optimization. Here are my 10 recommendations for generating limitless brain energy. For each tip, please rate on a scale of 1 to 10 how much attention you are putting into that specific area. You may be surprised by your answers. 1. A good brain diet. Resilience expert Dr. Eva Selhov often likens the brain to a high-performance vehicle like an expensive car. She writes your brain functions best when it gets only premium fuel. Eating high-quality foods that contain a lot of vitamins, minerals, and antioxidants nourishes the brain and protects it from oxidative stress. The waste-free radicals produced when the body uses oxygen, which can damage cells. She goes on to note that when your brain is forced to run on inferior fuel, it can possibly do everything it was built to do. Refined sugar, for example, contributes to impaired brain functions, leads to inflammation, and can even cause depression, something you might want to consider the next time you reach for a tub of ice cream to contend with a tough day. In my podcast interview with Dr. Lisa Mascani, neuroscientist, integrative nutritionist and author of The Brain Food and the XX Brain, she explains why the dietary needs of the brain are different from those of other organs. The human brain requires 45 distinct nutrients to function best. While most of these nutrients are created by the brain itself, the rest are imported from our diet. Since we know for sure that there's a direct connection between a good diet and a healthy brain, it's essential that you feed your brain with the best food nature has to offer. On the page opposite, you'll see a list of my top 10 favorite brain foods. For a quick video on how to memorize this list, go to www.limitlessbook.com/resources. If you're a kind of person who hears hearing you need to eat your vegetables, employ this list might require a bit of an adjustment, but here's some good news. Because there's evidence to show that your brain runs very well with a little bit of dark chocolate in the mix. Remember, what you eat matters, especially for your gray matter. The top 10 brain foods. Avocados. They provide mono unsaturated fat, which helps to maintain healthy food flow. Blueberries. They protect your brain from oxidative stress and reduces the effect of brain aging. There have also been studies that show they can help with memory. Broccoli, a great source of vitamin K, which is known to improve cognitive function and memory. Dark chocolate. This helps your focus and your concentration and stimulates endorphins. Chocolate also have flavonoids which have been shown to improve cognitive function. The darker here, the better, as the darkest chocolate has the least sugar, and we've already talked about how sugar is something to eat sparingly. Eggs, they provide memory improving and brain boosting choline. Green leafy vegetables. These are good sources of vitamin E, which reduces the effect of brain aging, and folate, which has been shown to improve memory. Salmon, sardines, caviar. They're rich in omega-3 essential fatty acids, which help reduce the effects of brain aging. Turmeric. It helps reduce inflammation and boost antioxidant levels while also improving your brain's oxygen intake. There's also some indication that turmeric helps reduce cognitive decay. Walnuts. These nuts provide high level of antioxidants and vitamin E that protect your neurons and protect against brain aging. They also contain high level of zinc and magnesium, which are really good for your mood. Water. Your brain is about 80% water. Dehydration can cause brain fog, fatigue, and slow reaction and thinking speed. Studies show that well-hydrated people score better on brain power tests. I met Mana Sharma when she was featured on Facebook's Red Table Talk as the nutritionist for Will Smith and his family, alongside Dr. Mark Heyman. She shared with me how the foods we eat can have a big impact on our energy, the quality of our health, and the function of our brains, focusing on key ingredients like good quality omega-3 rich fats, vegetables loaded with antioxidants and phytonutrients, and spices to enhance our digestion and focus, and can support both short and long-term brain function. Here's a simple day of some of our good recipes to optimize brain power and vitality. Morning brain tonic. So it's all food. Okay, food. True, brain nutrients. As we've discussed, diet affects brain function, but what if you aren't able, because of your schedule or lifestyle, to regularly eat a rich brain food diet? Research has shown that particular nutrients have a direct effect on your cognitive ability. I always prefer getting my nutrients from real, whole, organic foods. Talk to a qualified health practitioner to learn what you might be deficient in. In my podcast episode with Max Lugavere, author of Genius Foods, we discuss the benefits of supplementing with phospholipid DHA. Your brain uses this to create healthy cell membranes. This is important because our cell membranes form all the receptors involved in mood, executive functioning, attention, and memory. B vitamins have been shown to improve women's memories. Curcumin, the nutrient food in turmeric, can forestall cognitive decay. You can get a list of nutrients and their effects on the brain from the National Institutes of Health website. There are natural sources for all of these nutrients, but getting all of them into your diet might not fit your lifestyle or your palate. The good news is that supplements are really readily available for all of this, though not all supplements are created equal. Make sure to do some research. You can also combine this with the brain foods discussed in this chapter to give your brain the fuel it needs. Give your brain the fuel it needs. For a list and links to my favorite brain supplements, go to www.limitlessbook.com/researchers. 3. Exercise. Exercise changes the brain in a ways that protect memory and thinking skills, writes Heidi Gardner, the executive editor of the Harvard Health Letter. In a study done at the University of British Columbia, researchers found that regular aerobic exercise, the kind that gets your heart and your sweat glands pumping, appears to boost the size of the hippocampus, the brain area involved in verbal memory and learning. I can almost hear some of you complaining or making excuses. You read that last paragraph. Exercise is boring, you don't have time for it, you can't afford a gym membership. But the simple fact is that exercise is enormously valuable if you wanna unsettle your brain. Think about it. When you're active and moving, you feel sharper, right? Some of us even need to move around in order to get our brains operating at top efficiency. That's because there's a direct correlation between exercise and brain function, and you don't need to become an Olympic athlete in order to keep your brain sharp. There's lots of evidence to show that even 10 minutes of aerobic exercise a day can have enormous benefit. As your body moves, your brain groups for killing ants. Dr. Daniel Amen, a clinical neuroscientist, author of the bestseller Change Your Brain, Change Your Life, and a frequent guest of ours, came home one night after a particularly bad day at the office dealing with suicide risk, angst-ridden teens, and dysfunctional couples to find thousands of ants in his kitchen. It was gross, he wrote, as I started to clean them up. The acronym came to me. I thought of my patients from that day. Like my infested kitchen, my patients' brain were also infested by the negative thoughts that were robbing them of their joy and stealing their happiness. The next day, I brought a can of ant spray to work as a visual aid and have been working diligently ever since to help my patients eradicate their ants. Ants are automatic negative thoughts, and if you're like most people, you place limitations on yourself in the form of these thoughts at least some of the time. Maybe you tell yourself that you aren't smart enough to learn a skill that you'd really like to have, or perhaps you repeat on an endless loop how pushing yourself to accomplish something is only going to lead to disappointment. Ants are everywhere, and there isn't enough ant spray in the world to get rid of all of them, but eliminating them from your life is an essential part of unlimiting your brain. The reason for this is simple. If you fight for a limitation, you get to keep them. If you regularly tell yourself that you can't do something, or that you are too old to do something, or that you don't have the smarts to do something, you won't do that thing. Only when you move on from this kind of destructive self-talk can you truly accomplish what you want to accomplish. 5. A clean environment. In a 2018 piece in the medical journal, the Lancet identified that air pollution might cause 30% of all strokes and thus might be one of the leading contributors of the global stroke burden. It went on, given the strong association between stroke, vascular risk factors, and dementia, the suggested link between air pollution and dementia is to be expected. The air you breathe is critical to the way your brain functions. If you ever been stuck in a room with a smoker, you know how hard it is to even think while you're breathing the toxic air. Conversely, if you're hiking in the mountains and take a deep breath from a crisp, clean atmosphere, you can feel your senses thriving. If you live in a factory town or a big city with pollutants everywhere, there isn't a lot you can do about the air around you. Fortunately, there are devices available to clean the air in your home and your office. You can make an increased effort to get to cleaner spaces more frequently. A clean environment goes beyond air quality. Removing clutters and distractions from your surroundings will make you feel lighter and improve your ability to focus. So, take time to Marie Kondo your mind and remove any unnecessary stuff. Tomorrow, a positive peer group. So that's it, guys. Bye. Hasta la vista.